Are you a working mom who's trying to juggle it all? From your responsibilities at work to raising your kids, maintaining a positive romantic relationship, and finding time for yourself? Have you even pondered the idea of going back to school to further or complete your education? And does that task seem overwhelming? Would a consistent community of support make this decision and journey much easier? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then this podcast and the next half an hour is for you. I want to empower women to start loving their lives purposely, connect with their children, and cherish the pursuit of their education. It's all because I believe your goals have value. For Camille Roney, that's the mission of this Vancouver mom's new blogging endeavor known as the Learning Mom, a community of support to support working mothers who want to pursue a wholesome life and a complete education. She joined me this week to discuss the endeavor in further detail and how she's supporting mothers to reach their fullest potential. I'm Kevin McShane. Let's have this conversation. So, Camille, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'll tell you that I'm excited to learn all about the Learning Mom. Great to see you this afternoon, and thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
So, Camille, I know that you help women and those mothers juggle both our personal and educational life by giving them easier and more efficient ways to manage their time, among other things. So, I'm wanting to start off our conversation by just giving you a chance to give me an overview of the Learning Mom and all the great work and information that you provide.
Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. So I'll give you a bit of my own personal backstory. I had an existing successful career in web development and decided to go back to school to become a physician. So I'm 4.5 years into things now. And in my second year, my husband and I, just after my second year, we gave birth to our son. And I've been juggling motherhood, volunteer positions, building a home, and all the other things that come with being an adult with being a full-time student. And I realized partway into the process that I was definitely not the only student experiencing life outside of school, and I wanted to help others to thrive in juggling all those things.
Absolutely, and I'm curious to get you to expand a little bit. You call yourself a non-traditional student studying medicine, so I know that web design is a big leap to make from that to medicine. So I'm wondering why you find yourself to be untraditional as well.
You're absolutely right. It's a huge jump. So typically when most of us think about a student or university student, we think of someone who's gone straight out of high school into university, and they likely don't have an existing career outside of it. They probably don't have kids or other responsibilities. So I'd like to give a broad definition to the term non-traditional. So I would consider a student athlete to be non-traditional, parents who are in school non-traditional, just essentially anyone who has big priorities outside of school to be a non-traditional student.
And I'm curious to ask you about effective time management strategies, being a mom and a student and a wife. I know that you have a lot of things on the go, as you had mentioned. So I'm wondering your thoughts on effective time management as well.
Oh, that's such a good question, Kevin. In my experience, it comes down all down to your values. Deciding and taking a deep look at yourself and what your own values are, and then prioritizing those values when you look at your calendar, your schedule. So, for example, there is a period this past year um, where I was volunteering 4 days a week, and in addition to being a student and a mom. And although community involvement is so important to me, I didn't need to be contributing as much as I was at the expense of the other things that I would consider more important, like spending time with my son. So once you find out, do the work, find out what those values are. You don't have to fit everything that's important to you in every single day. For example, if health is important to you, it doesn't mean that you need to be exercising 7 days a week. If you're doing it once a week or finding a few minutes to squeeze in a walk during your lunch break, that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. For me personally, I'll tell you a little story. I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. So I try to carve out at least 10 minutes a day to do physical activity, whether it's doing physiotherapy,
Hmm.
swimming is big for me to help manage my CP. And I've also committed myself to turning off the computer at least 10 minutes a day and sort of refocusing myself on what's important. So I can relate for that for sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it makes such a difference too. I'm sure you can attest to this, but that time that you're spending swimming or doing what it is, it puts you in your mind in such a good place.
Yeah, and I also always tell people that we make time for the priorities in life that are important to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
so Camille, I'm also curious. You alluded to this in your last answer, but I'll ask it in a more general sense. I'm curious to get your thoughts on how you make sure that women don't neglect themselves personally, as mothers, as students, and as individuals as well. How do you think you help women find an individual center, if you know what I mean?
Oh, that's such a good question. And it's one that women are asking all the time. And it's so much easier said than done, but you have to make it a priority. And it's difficult sometimes when you think of self-care as maybe taking a bubble bath or something along those lines where it's taking away time from your family. It's almost like a selfish act. That's not the case. Self-care is non-negotiable. Sometimes self-care is when things are getting stressful, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, relaxing for a moment, and then getting back into things. It makes absolutely all the difference in the world when you prioritize your own needs, and then you are able to essentially pour from that cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. In order to serve others, you have to take care of yourself too. So it comes down to that values thing. And another component of that is just listening to your body, paying attention to what it's telling you. If you are feeling absolutely burnt out, your body's begging for a nap, if you listen to that and just take like a quick, like, even if it's 45-minute nap, whatever you need to do to make it happen, you'll wake up feeling so refreshed, so much better. And then you can take on everything in the day after that so much better than you would if you had just tried to, over caffeinate yourself and power through.
Yeah, and my next question has to do with the pandemic. I'm curious to ask you about the power of human connection. We've been through a trying year and a half for a lot of people because of the pandemic, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on how you help mothers and women stay connected to the people that are important to them, and just generally your thoughts on the power of human connection.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. Um, you have to be there. I mean, life's tough as it is on any good day. Throw this big giant pandemic in, and it just throws everything off. So it is so important to stay connected. That's something that I find my Instagram page at The Learning Mom has been so useful in allowing other non-traditional students. They aren't necessarily all mothers, but just other students who get each other. Um, to connect, and we can share in our struggles, we can vent a little bit, we cheer each other on. It makes such a difference. It's so alienating, this pandemic, and I'm so glad that people are staying safe at home. um, but it's hard, and things are harder than they were, in any aspect, not just school. Parenting is tough when we don't have the same resources that we used to. um, Being a student is tough. Being, working or being unemployed, all these different factors have really been magnified by this pandemic. So it's so important to check in on each other, to cheer each other on, to just listen. I feel like that's the most powerful thing that we can do at this time, is to listen to each other.
Yeah, I'm a big Judge Judy fan, and she always says that God gave us two ears and one mouth for a reason, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm curious to ask you about parenting during the course of the pandemic. How have you and your husband managed and how do you think you've gotten closer, both as a mom and as a wife as well?
Oh, that is such a good question. As I'm sure most parents can attest to right now, it is difficult.
Yeah.
So our little guy is almost 3 now. We made it till we decided when he was born that we would, essentially be screen free. And the pandemic came last year, and I had exams to do. So guess what? Out came the TV, and now that's unfortunately that's become a bit of a crutch when there's times when you need to focus, you need to get certain things done. Our little guy is very active. He hardly ever stops at all. So there's, when resources like the public pool or the playgrounds were closed and inaccessible, play dates were not an option. Right now, we can do limited play dates outside. Um, so it's been difficult. I'm really curious to see how this generation of kids develop socially when they've had this lack of connection with others during this, you know, really really important years in their social development. I'm curious to see that. Um, as a wife, I'm not sure. You'll have to ask my husband. um, to be honest, I feel like because of the parenting roles, and we're fortunate enough that he's able to work from home, we've had to essentially take shifts parenting. And by the time that we do, when little guy's down, you just kind of both oh, deflate at the end of the day, and there's not much left in you. So it's definitely changed. Um, it's changed our relationship. And when there is the opportunity for, say, grandparents to watch the little guy, we can't go and do the things that we used to do, like, go dancing or out to restaurants on a regular basis. So, you get a bit more creative, or you get a little bit more lazy, and it's just, kicking it with Netflix and some popcorn and go to sleep at 8 p.m.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
one of the reasons I started this podcast was I told myself that there was only so much Netflix I could watch in a day, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, I had to give my creative energy an outlet somewhere. So I started this podcast. But
Well, I'm really glad you have, because I love listening to the conversations that you have with your other guests here. It's so insightful.
well, thanks for listening. And my next question for you is, I know that you're really proud of the community that you've built through the Learning Mom. So I'm wondering if you can briefly comment on the sense of fulfillment you get through the endeavor as well.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I get so many messages every day of women in school. Um, Sometimes you just need someone to tell you that it's going to be okay. If you just bombed a really big test, um, it it sucks, and sometimes you just need to vent. We support each other. We get to cheer each other's victories on. You get a little bit of the insight of the realities of not only what it's like to be a non-traditional student, but to be doing it during this pandemic. So it's been a fantastic, not only an outlet for me to express, some creativity and showing what's going on in my everyday life. And getting feedback from that is always really special, but to see the same in other non-traditional students.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, when you're, what strand of medicine are you studying, and what are you hoping to do?
Oh, that's, I haven't decided is the short answer. I would love, love to practice family medicine. It is so needed here in Canada. I'm sure you can attest to this. They are um, absolute rock stars in my mind, gatekeepers um, to medicine. I've also been volunteering in a hospice in town for a couple of years. I could totally see myself in palliative care or geriatrics. So I'm sure once I start doing rounds, I might change my mind 100 times. That seems to be the common um, feedback I get from my current the people that I ask. But we'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Well, the power of exploration is a powerful tool, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm curious, when you're not studying and working and parenting and wifing, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, sleep. Easy. Sleep.
You know,
Um,
as soon as this interview is over, as I told you before this started, you're my sixth and final for the week, and I'm about to take a nap myself. No.
Good call. Sleep is incredible. It is the best. It is better than any medication you could take. I also really enjoy spending time outside. I'm really into gardening right now, which has been a really nice, fun thing to come out of this pandemic. We're spending a ton of time outside. So that's been bringing me joy lately.
Well, I tell you, there's nothing like breathing fresh air, huh? And
Hmm.
I'm sure you're joining the course of people that are anxious to get back to some sort of normalcy. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Camilla, if people want to get connected with you personally or the Learning Mom, what's the best way they can do that? I know you have an active Instagram page and you're all over social media, so I'd love for you to share.
Yeah, check me out. Instagram's where I'm most active. That's at the Learning Mom, and I would love to connect with anybody going through whatever form of education they're experiencing right now, just to connect.
Fantastic. Well, from one Canadian to another, I want to thank you for being here, the support that you provide to learning moms through your blog and your other endeavors on social media, and just a sense of connection. I really want to thank you for the work that you've done. I want to wish you the best of luck in your medical studies, and I really want to thank you for being here this afternoon. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I want to thank you for your time. It's most appreciated.
Thank you so much, Kevin. You take care. Have a good nap.
Fantastic.